There's two things we know. All dogs go to heaven and Stan Lee's gone to hell, okay? You're listening to Diminishing Returns, the podcast about sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and reboots. I'm Chris Scott. And across from me, he's the other weird-looking orange dude that we'll be talking about today. It's Mr. Alan Johnson.
How do pod people?
Alan, at this point, we would normally throw to you for an introduction, but frankly, I'm tired of your bullshit. I don't listen to you whittering on about fucking box office or something. I'd like to listen to somebody else witter on. Can we do this?
Yes, we can.
That's right, we've got a guest introduction. So who's going to introduce our episode on Fantastic Four?
We're going to my friend, professional cartoonist, studio coordinator for the Scottish Cartoon Art Studio, and also host of the excellent Drawn Out podcast, Terry Anderson.
Hey, alright, doing his whole fucking credits, alright, pal?
It's clobbering time.
Oh, yeah, okay. The 2015 Fantastic Four movie is shite. It's a big turd. But the 1961 comic book, Fantastic Four, by visual genius Jack Kirby and ethically dubious huckster Stan Lee, is unparalleled. Everything you know and love about the Marvel Universe comes from the Fantastic Four. The soap opera stuff, the wild and inventive visuals and characters, the cosmic weirdness, and in Doctor Doom, the single greatest villain ever created for American comics. Equal parts Mordred, Victor Frankenstein, Professor Moriarty, and Darth Vader, long before there ever was a Star Wars. The characters and elements from Fantastic Four had been brought to the screen twice before this, in 2005's Fantastic Four and 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer, both by Tim Story for Fox. These films are not good. They're almost completely miscast, cheesily written, low on spectacle with some atrocious visual effects and egregious product placement. But they do get some things right. The Fantastic Four here are celebrities first and foremost. They're adventurers and inventors. With one exception, they're pretty comfortable in their skins and they like what they do. They're not angst-driven crime fighters, and that's as it should be. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, gives us a glimpse of the heights that will be achieved later in the role of Captain America for the Marvel films proper. The Trank film, on the other hand, has nothing to recommend it. It's woeful, gloomy, boring, tonally dissonant, and creakily reshot, presumably after the studio panicked when they received a body horror / spy thriller when they were expecting a crowd-pleasing summer superhero reboot. If it's possible, they do a worse job with Doom than the first two films. There, for Story, he was a slimy executive type. For Trank, he's a blogger in a bin bag. The 60th anniversary of the Fantastic Four is coming up in a couple of years' time, and the Fox stable of characters, including these and the X-Men, have been reclaimed after the Disney-owned Marvel Studios buyout. So, like Spider-Man before them, it shouldn't be long before the Fantastic Four are up on the big screen again with the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and all the rest. A week or so before his film came out, Trank said, "A year ago, I had a fantastic version of this, and it would have received great reviews. You'll probably never see it." Well, if the Zack Snyder cut of Batman vs Superman is anything to go by, the director's vision can't always be banked upon in these situations. Many people say that the two incredible films from Pixar are the Fantastic Four movies we should have got. For me, there's a lot of what makes the Fantastic Four what it is to be found in Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok. So, check that out, nerds.
Alright, yes, so I'm not going to lie, when you said my friend's got an intro, first of all, I was thinking, let's not lie, you don't have friends, Alan. Secondly, I'm your only friend and your best friend. Let's be clear. But like, I assumed he was going to be like you, and he was going to be like just droning on about the male gaze or some shit. But I'm not gonna lie, I fucking pretty much agreed with everything that guy says. I like Terry. You're all right in my book, pal. This film, the 2015 Fantastic Four film by Josh Trank, is dog shit.
Giant turd indeed.
It's fucking dog shit. Thank you, Terry, for that. That was good. Not gonna lie, Alan, you're on a sugary peg. You need to. You've just basically brought in like a younger, better model. But up your game. You're not a big Fantastic Four person in general. Like, you're not a Marvel guy.
No, not really. Daredevil is my kind of big Marvel comic title. You know, they're the first family of Marvel, so I'm culturally aware of them, but I'm not a giant Fantastic Four fan.
My kind of Marvel history, ooh, that makes it sound interesting when it's like just when I started reading comic books. As my dad had a big trunk filled with also that's where he puts his junk. but he had a big trunk filled with comic books that he'd bought from back in the day.
Right.
And so it was a lot of kind of old school, kind of 60s, 70s comic books. And so I read a lot of those, and that's what kind of got me into comics and superheroes and stuff. So Fantastic Four for me are great. Like, I love The Thing. I love Doctor Doom. When you start getting into Galactus and Silver Surfer, I mean, oy vey, we're home. This is great stuff.
Yeah. All from the mind of Kirby as well.
He had a real grip on comic books.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Thing, Ben Grimm, is a sort of like reflection of Kirby. He sort of saw himself in Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm, of course, is he's the Thing. He's the big orange rock dude, and you know he has the great catchphrase, "It's clobbering time," which again, beauty and simplicity. You know what's going to happen. You're clocking in. You're about to get a clobbering. In the Scottish porno version, of course, it would be "It's dobbering time." So I'm a fan. They're classic, and as your man Terry said, we had two films, the Tim Story.
Tim Story, yeah.
I've not seen Tim Story 4, which is just out in the cinema as we're writing this. I'll need to. His critically acclaimed brother, Ghost Story. I could do this all day.
His Japanese cousin, Tokyo Story.
Oh, nice. Let's just fucking destroy that whale. So let's go through the sort of potted Fantastic Four cinematic history. Okay, in 1994, Roger Corman films a Fantastic Four film, and you're thinking, why haven't I seen this? Because Roger Corman is a delightful bastard. That's why Marvel sold off all the rights to these things super cheap, and basically the way you keep the rights in your hands is by making a film. So basically, the company that owns the Fantastic Four at the time were like, we're going to lose the rights to this. We need to film a Fantastic Four film just to keep the rights. So Roger Corman, legendary low-budget Hollywood director, films a Fantastic Four film for about 50p, right?
Yeah, well, German film producer buys the rights, as you've said. Obviously, in the wake of Tim Burton's Batman making comic book properties like a hot commodity, he has trouble getting the project off the ground because he estimates he'll need like a 30 million budget to get this going. So goes to Corman and offers Corman $1 million to get one made. And for my money, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four is the best of the Fantastic Four films that's been made.
At least there's a bit of fun about it, but it's still terrible. The trailer's great. Watch the trailer on YouTube. That'll give you some good jollies. Basically, like, we just need to make a film that keeps us the rights, and then we can either sell them on or make a bigger film in the future. Yeah. So he then hires actors and it's like, do you want to be in a Fantastic Four film? And they're like, cool, I get being a Fantastic Four film. And they tell their friends, hell, probably their family, their parents, finally, I've got my big break in Hollywood. And then they film it and he's like, yeah, we're showing it once and that's it. Yep. No one's ever going to get to see it.
They just shelve the project right on the eve of release.
And the only reason you get to see it now is because the internet's happened and it's been leaked on fucking YouTube. And
because at the time, Marvel executives reportedly bought up all the known prints and then had them destroyed so that it wouldn't ever tarnish the brand in the future.
Brilliant. Poor bastard. I actually feel really sorry for those actors, yet conversely also love the pure bastardry of it. Like your big break and it's like this shitty movie which would be bad enough, but they're not even going to get, no one's going to even get to see it. So on two fronts, I can feel equally sad for those people, but also like, isn't that hilarious how they got fucked over?
It's just a great story.
Just wonderful. So
that's never made it into the public realm officially. So not until 2005 do we get the Fantastic Four on screen.
I actually don't mind this one because it's fun, and there's a lot of it they kind of get right. Terry mentions that, but there's some things that they get right, and I think that they basically are like, listen, the Fantastic Four are kind of groovy fun, and okay, they maybe pitch it too kind of almost kiddie friendly, but I quite like that, particularly in the sort of era of grim reboots where everything's like, oh, we're gonna have a gritty reboot of the Sonic universe, now, and it's like okay, whereas this, it's like, it's a guy that stretches and stuff. It's fun, guys.
It's weird knockabout fun. Yeah,
and I think the actor that plays the Thing from The Shield,
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis, who if you've not seen The Shield, one of the great TV shows, his performance as Vic Mackey is one of the great television performances, and he's like this irredeemable piece of shit in The Shield. Plays Ben Grimm, and he's great in it. I think he's great in it. It's not great, in fact in many ways it probably is terrible, but it's like they're not aiming for Oscars here. They're just like, hey, stretchy guy, right? Which is fine, and on that level I quite enjoyed it. And then in the second one they had the Silver Surfer,
another classic Kirby creation.
Yep, and they had him voiced by Lawrence Fishburne. We talked about him in our Assault on Precinct 13 episode.
Yeah.
We love Larry. Big Larry Fishburne, right? That's great. Like, they're bringing in the Silver Surfer with Lawrence Fishburne's voice. That's fucking cool. That's what I want to see. And that film is dog shit. That film is fucking terrible. It's like they waste the Silver Surfer and you're waiting the whole film to see Galactus, who's because in the comics Silver Surfer is the herald of Galactus, who basically he's this planet-eating dude, he just destroys fucking galaxies, and it's like the Silver Surfer, for some reason, I never really understood this, right? Is that basically Galactus is like, yeah, I'm gonna go and destroy a bunch of planets, but I want somebody to run up ahead of me first and go, hey, this guy's gonna come and destroy your planet. Why don't you just turn up and fucking destroy a planet, Galactus? What's with your ego? Who hurt you, Galactus?
Maybe planets taste better when they're filled with fear.
Fear? Think fear's like hot sauce?
Well, yeah, just to makes the planet a little bit more piquant.
Oh, all right. I would have just said spicy or some shit, because I'm not a gourmand like yourself.
I mean, weirdly, that was the thing. Kirby just invented the Silver Surfer on his own. He decided that Galactus needed a herald and created this character, and it was actually the beginning of the end of the Kirby Lee like working relationship, because Stan Lee did not like this character, and then ultimately when the character became popular, Stan Lee took over the creative content of Silver Surfer.
So obviously, I think most of our listeners will know this, but there may be the odd one. Everyone knows who Stan Lee is.
Yeah.
He's the guy behind all the Marvel properties, created all this stuff.
Your favourite old man in Cameo?
Yeah, Excelsior.
True believer.
And he created all of those iconic characters by himself with no help from anyone else. Or did he? Quite a lot of controversy, and that people like Jack Kirby, whose work, if you're not in the comic books, you've probably still seen his work.
Yes, absolutely.
But you just maybe wouldn't know it was. He either co-created or maybe 90% of it was him, and maybe 10% was Stan Lee, but Stan Lee took all the credit.
Yeah.
But if that's true, I think we can all take a little bit of pleasure in knowing that Stan Lee will be in hell. Right? Stan Lee is in hell. Right? There's two things we know. All dogs go to heaven, and Stan Lee's gone to hell. Okay? That's the two things that we know about the afterlife.
For a long time, I've really wanted a Mad Men style TV show about the world of Marvel and DC at that time in the sort of 50s into the 60s.
Yeah. Why has no TV company fucking bought that idea?
Well, now that Disney own everything, potentially that's a thing that could exist.
Nobody's going to watch that show. Apart from you.
Are you kidding me? Like, that's an incredibly exciting time. These guys are like creating worlds and universes and bizarre characters.
Oh, you're right. There's nothing I love better than watching on TV is people drawing or sitting at a typewriter.
Well, that's not the part that's exciting. The exciting is the dynamic between, say, Ditko, Kirby, Lee.
These are all comics people, by the way.
Like that office dynamic with their different agendas. As Terry said, Stan Lee, the huckster, who's obviously people that read comics know about the Marvel method.
Right, yeah, but let's stay on this fucking TV show idea. I want you to explain TV. What are we talking about? 12 episodes? Or are you talking about a full network 24?
You could probably get 3 seasons, 12 episodes, 3 seasons.
36. This an hour long?
Yeah.
Is this an hour long with breaks, or an hour long? Like, you talking full on Netflix, HBO, 60 minutes?
Yeah, 60 minutes, HBO. What you do is you pick up the first season, begins immediately after the war. So we're already in the world of superheroes, and then we chart the rise of Marvel, because at that time in the early 60s, the superhero comic was on the way out. It was on the wane, and it was actually DC had a little bit of success with the Justice League of America, and the guy that ran Marvel Publishing at that time went to Stan Lee and went, DC have got a team book that's selling well. We need a team book over here. So the Fantastic Four comes out and revolutionises comics. It's not just these two-dimensional guys in circus tights anymore. The Fantastic Four actually write them as characters, and they become these real people for fans. And then so the 60s explodes and superhero comics are on the rise again. And then as you go into the 60s and visit stories like people with Arkham and bizarre counterculture of comics, you could chart comics from the post-war era through into the 60s, 70s and later. Then you 3 seasons, 12 episodes a season, 60 minutes an episode, and it would be brilliant.
Well, watch out, Game of Thrones, eh? Boy, that sounds much more excited than Tits and Dragons.
Listen,
you fucking madman. You're a madman.
Exactly, Mad Men. The setup for Mad Men is these guys make adverts, but that's not what makes Mad Men interesting. These characters that surrounded that world were
They're a bunch of nerds sitting around. They're not Don Draper banging chicks.
They weren't nerds. That was the thing. They're mostly like ex-World War II veterans.
Shows them in the war then.
Them.
You've got the bit where you're literally saying like, these guys did some really interesting stuff, but we're not going to show that. We're going to show the bits where they made comic books. I'm not having it. I'm sorry, Alan. Don't give me those puppy dog eyes just because. Oh, look at him. I'll kick a puppy. You fucking watch yourself. I don't think this is going to be the prestige TV hit you think it is, man.
We'll see.
Let me clear. If you sell it, I want a 50% credit because it was mentioned in this podcast. I will be the Stan Lee to your Jack Kirby. So cool. Listen, guys, if you would like to see Alan's TV show, you can email us or tweet at us with the phrase, I want to see Alan's TV show. And if you don't, you can do the same, but just Chris is right again. Chris is right again. Just whatever one you guys think.
Hashtag hard pass.
So cool. Your terrible idea for a TV show, to be fair. And I'll be honest, I like comic books, so I would probably watch your terrible TV show. I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to sell. You know what I mean? I'm feeling confident that this will not come back to bite me, Alan. I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe overconfident.
Okay. Anyway, all that to say, we're in a world where they make 2 Fantastic Four films. They're very colourful, but definitely geared towards kids.
Yeah, stupid kids.
At a time when, we're still a couple of years away from the MCU even
the
starting.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We've had the Raimi Spider-Man, and we've had the X trilogy at that point too.
That's the X-Men, by the way, guys. It's not some weird fucking sex thing he's talking about.
For the X-Men. So we're still a couple of years away from even Iron Man and the MCU becoming a thing.
So you had these 2 kind of colourful kids films. It's been a while, and I think the thought behind this was like, well, shit, we did the kind of kid-friendly Fantastic Four. Let's course correct. We're now going to give you dark Fantastic Four. So let's get into the fucking film. We've got this new Fantastic Four film. It's directed by Josh Trank, who made Chronicle, which was a really smart, clever take on the superhero film. I liked it a lot.
Shame it was written by Max Landis. It was a film.
What's he been in the news for recently?
Let's not. At
the
point of 2015, Marvel are heading towards the end of Phase 2. They've made a good film out of Ant-Man. Surely the powerhouse of Fox can make a good Fantastic Four movie.
Marvel are knocking out fun films that are crushing at the box office out of like 2nd and 3rd tier characters.
Yeah.
Right? I'd heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe. So Fox is sitting there on a goddamn goldmine. They've got the first family of Marvel, the Fantastic Four. So they've got Reed Richards. He's a stretchy man. He can stretch about. They've got Sue Storm, who's invisible. Listen, it's a comic book. Just go with it. They've got Ben Grimm, who, as you said, is turned into a giant, strong orange rock man. And then there's Johnny Storm, who's Sue's brother, and he is the Human Torch.
Yeah.
And he can go and fire and fly. Flame on. That's cool. So basically, they've got these great characters. Let's just reboot it, because we're now hungry for superhero films. Yum, 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 yum.
Can't get enough of them.
Num, num. What can I have for a starter? A superhero film. What will I have for my main? A superhero film. What will I have for dessert? Nothing, actually. I've got a bit of stuff to do later on. But, maybe later on I'll have a wee snack. The point is, we're hungry for superhero films. So, they go to Josh Trank, who's obviously got an affinity with superhero-ness, because of Chronicle.
Young guy, hot talent, made a tiny budget film that's really gone over big, made a lot of money on a tiny budget.
So, what could possibly go wrong? This film starts where I think, when you're thinking about like the genesis of the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards is meant to be like the smartest man in the world. And how do they get caught up in this weird thing that mutates them into something different? I hope there's a really extended bit about them going to school. That's all I want to see is...
I would like to start this tortuous movie in elementary school.
Yeah, where Little Reed Richards, Little Reed, as I'm calling him.
He's not had a stretch yet.
He's
his growth spurt.
Yeah, and his pal is Ben Grimm. Oh, they were pals at school. That's nice.
Ben Grimm.
That's nice. And it's like, this 11-year-old's a genius.
He's a child prodigy.
Right, okay.
Homer Simpson's his teacher.
That's right. So that lasts for maybe like 10 minutes. But then it's like, don't worry, we're going to jump forward in time to about 5 years later or something, where he's like 16. So now we're getting just a bit more school. It seems like they're at a science fair.
And still has his elementary school teacher 7 years later.
Yeah.
Homer Simpson still, angry with him because he's smart.
And it seems to be he's competing against like 8-year-olds. Was this explained?
Not explained. I think it's like a regional science fair.
Yeah, but the other people seem to be children.
Yes.
And there's this like 17-year-old or 16-year-old, whatever the fuck he's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
I know you're like, why am I watching 2 different fucking scenes of this dweeb in school when there's a whole colourful world of Marvel excitement that's about to happen? But it's cool. These guys know what they're doing. They're professional filmmakers.
The cosmic rays are just on the horizon.
Don't you worry. And Reg E. Cathy,
who is
everybody loves him, right? He died just this year or last year.
Yeah.
You've seen him in loads of things. He's like a black guy with, let's just be clear, an amazingly cool voice.
Yeah.
So he is part of the Baxter Foundation.
Yep.
They're like a big sciencey lot, big into science. And he is at this school science fair.
Yep.
Because he's somehow figured out this genius is there.
Young Sheldon has designed the missing piece to his contraption that he has symbiotically been working on.
Reed Richards' contraption can move matter from one place to another. And Reg Cathy, he plays Franklin Storm, right? So Reggie Cathy, he comes over and he's like, we heard that you're the one that's solved moving matter. And that's what my big sciencey foundation that works with like NASA and the army. Like, we're a big deal and we've heard that you're doing this. I don't know anything about school science projects. Is there a lot of PR for these things? Like, do they put out a release beforehand and be like, hey, here's the 12 kids that are showing you the thing, and here's what they're going to be doing. I'm going to take my time off of creating my own multi-dimensional fucking warp portal to come down to this school. The fuck, Fantastic Four? The fuck do you take me for? This is already maddening. This very important man is hanging about a school. Because the other option is that he was just there anyway, creeping on kids. He's there with his daughter, Sue Storm.
His adopted daughter.
I mean, we could tell that. Let's be honest. And that's played by Kate Mara in a blonde wig.
Yeah, because let's be clear, guys, reshoots up the wazoo on this one.
I mean, I'm just going to say, like, she's already hot. But if you're called Sue Storm, that gives you an extra, like, point of hotness. Do you know what I mean? So fair play, head. Fair play. Right?
And she likes Portishead, so she loves that, like,
yes,
Bristol beat.
Basically, it's like, how can we make sure this person's cool?
Yeah.
Oh, she listens to Portishead. Oh, she's the coolest person of fucking 1994. This kid is the coolest person of fucking 20 years before this film was released. What else is she into, guys? Have you heard the show This Life? Fuck off, right? Anyway, she's at the school science fair. They're like, hey, less little, now, I guess, teenage Reed Richards, played by Miles Teller of drumming in that film and getting shouted at fame.
And Footloose, covered in this parish.
Oh, yeah, we did. Miles Teller plays Reed Richards, and so they come up to him and they're like, hey, you've managed to figure out a solution to a problem we've been having. You're moving matter and able to get it back. We've only been able to move matter to another dimension.
Another dimension.
Another dimension. So, and it's like, yeah, I'm a boy genius, and they're like, what? Right? I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
That's just how scientists speak.
Yeah, you know, Reed Richards, smart. He's a smart kid,
Smart
right?
guy.
He's figured out how to transport matter and bring it back.
Yep.
He just didn't realise it was transporting it to another dimension. He thought it was another place because there's kind of sandy stuff on it, right? How do you guys know it was another dimension? And Sue Storm has a little test tube and it's got the same sand. She's like, well, actually, see, we found this, and this is the same stuff that you've got there, and it's not been found anywhere on Earth. Whoa, you know what my other question is? You just said you couldn't bring anything back. Where did you get the stuff in the test tube, you lying cow? Right? Exactly. They literally can't remember what they wrote fucking 2 seconds before in their script. We didn't have anything back. How do you know in another dimension? Oh, this stuff that came back. This stuff. I'm just going to hold up this stuff that I just said we didn't have. Fucking hell, Fantastic Four. We're not even 15 minutes into this film.
It feels like an hour, but I think it's about.
It is, honestly, this film disproves fucking like Einstein. It's like Einstein's fucking relativity. Just like, do you know what? Like, watching this is a bit like the similar experience that the guy has at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's like fucking everything warps and shit, and there's like a big fucking space baby. You're in a room with a big bed. You don't know what's fucking happening because your mind's gone fucking insane. Well done, scriptwriters of Fantastic Four, for just like just disproving your own fucking thing that you said literally 10 fucking seconds before, right?
Let's not get bogged down in that.
Let's not get bogged down in the fact that these people are incompetent motherfuckers.
We've got Reed Richards.
Finally.
He's met up with Sue Storm. He's been taken to where the real science is getting done. We've got 2 out of the Fantastic Four, because I'm not quite sure what's happening with Ben Grimm at this point, but he effectively disappears from the movie.
Yeah. Do you know what I like as well? That it's pretty well intimated that like there's some physical abuse going on in his family.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not dealt with in any way at all.
Yep,
and it's a good fun thing for the kids that our character's catchphrase comes from some domestic abuse. Yeah. Isn't it wonderful when we turn catchphrases out of domestic abuse situations?
What was the other catchphrase going to be? Like, no, he's really nice normally. I walked into a door. Come on!
Honestly, I fell downstairs.
Come on, Fantastic Four. Jesus Christ. But hey, we're starting to be around. So Sue Storm, right? She's bookish, right? Because Miles Teller's like, hey, I read a book, and she's like, I also read that book.
Yep.
And also, I'm listening to Portishead, so I'm pretty cool.
And they are adorably flirting with each other, but not really.
No.
But then that immediately disappears from the film. They have like 1 scene or 2 scenes of that, and then it's all but forgotten.
Yeah, this happens a lot in this film again. Reshoots. So we've got Reed, we've got Sue, we've got Johnny Storm have come, right?
Yeah.
And he's a rebel, man. He's a rebel. He's doing like drag racing because it's the
Honda.
Because it's the 50s. I guess that's what kids do now, drag racing. It's like, just seems to me like the language of cinematic rebels has not changed since 1950. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's the sort of thing that a James Dean character would have done.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, he's a rebel. I don't know, drag racing. Like, look, can we come up with something? It's been fucking decades.
How can we show this hothead doesn't play by the rules of straight society, man? Oh,
Yeah, it's so dumb. But also, there's the classic thing where it's like, hold on, if he's a rebel, why is he going to be in the science building? Oh, I can build out anything, which they always do. They always have it's like, no, we'll have the kind of rough and ready rebel guy, but he's also great at like mechanics and stuff and can build everything. Now, while I'm sure there are some principles that you can take through anything, I'm going to assume being like good at cars and shit and building an interdimensional portal may involve different skill sets. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'm no expert, but you know,
are you suggesting that someone couldn't subscribe to both Popular Mechanic and New Scientist?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying you can only be one thing ever in your life, right? Like me, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Johnny Storm, I'm sorry. You made your choice. Your choice, drag racing.
And we see him lose this drag race in spectacular style. Now, that would suggest then he's not that good at building stuff because his car has just exploded.
Yeah. So anyway, as it happens in all films, you know, we're going to have this character be a bit edgy, but actually he's still going to come and join the team.
Yeah.
So he's reluctantly joining the team, and Johnny Storm, despite having no interest, is now part of this giant science project to build an interdimensional portal, which is the one realistic part of the film because nepotism is everywhere. His dad's on the project, his dad got the gig. We all know fucking people that shouldn't be in the jobs they're in, and it's because they knew someone. So actually, this is a little point where you go, that makes a lot of sense.
Of course, in this room, we don't see race. We're totally cool.
I only see drag race.
No. Totally woke, cool guys. We don't see race. But the internet had a shit fit when the casting of Michael B. Jordan was revealed as Johnny Storm for this film.
Because in a film where there's like a stretchy dude, an orange guy, and something goes into flames, and a woman that runs around in a big bubble, the last thing we can have is one of them be black.
Yeah.
Are you
Insane.
fucking you idiots?
That's got no logic to it, eh?
Also, the main characteristic of Johnny Storm is that he's a cocky wee bastard, right?
Exactly.
And Michael B. Jordan can pull that off. Like,
Is
that's
great
like
at that.
he was great at it in Friday Night Lights. He can do so much more. He's a great actor. We have talked multiple times about how great he is. But it's like, what, this guy that's already been amazing playing cocky bastards? And we're going to have him play this cocky bastard? Well, we can't have that. Are you fucking stupid? To be honest, he's a perfect Johnny Storm casting. It's just that it's written terribly. But that's not his fault. And the people complaining about it didn't know that at the time. It was just that they couldn't accept that Johnny Storm could be black. Do you know what? It's amazing because they're like, how can he be black and then his sister, as if it's getting played by Kate Mara, who's white? And literally before I'd even seen the film, he's like, I don't know, adopted? Yeah, like that's literally like one of them's adopted. That's all it takes.
You know, we're in the modern world. It's an easy fix.
None of that matters, right? But again, I think this was one of the first kind of big, we're switching the race of somebody, and people on the internet went mental. Which, I mean, I think it's quite a good tell if somebody's like a racist or a sexist or they're transphobic or homophobic, is when it's about something that doesn't matter. Right? Why is the Human Torch black? Does it matter? Oh, I'm not saying it's not racist, but it's just the original. Nobody cares. It's why you can tell when somebody's transphobic when they seem to suddenly care too much about athletics.
Suddenly the International Athletics Federation record database is like in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So fuck.
Aye. But also, if you're getting upset about, like angry about it, you're not angry about athletics.
No.
You're not angry about fucking comic books. You're angry because you're a little bitch.
Yep.
Who can't stand that there's black people and there's trans people and there's gays. And let me be clear, we're allies in this podcast. The important thing to us is that you're hot. That's all that matters. Like, I don't care where you're from. I don't care what gender you're assigned. All we want to know is that you are smoking hot. Like, gay, straight. Just, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm just going to say, you're a fucking ride. 10 out of 10s.
Yeah. However you identify, just identify beautiful people.
Yeah, that's all we care about. We're a broad church. But yeah, so there was all that furore, and frankly, these people are idiots. We've talked about it multiple times. I don't want to over-assert our fucking wokeness because I'm going to make some dumb jokes every episode that will annoy somebody. But, it just, in a world that's filled with shit, why is this what you get angry about? It's obviously a wee window into your dark little hearts. I think it's stupid to get angry about bullshit like that. What you should be angry at is how bad this film is. like the casting choices aren't the thing you really need to worry about here. Like,
absolutely
you are missing the fucking point. Did I mention about the fucking little bit of sand in the test tube? Yeah, I fucking did. That's something you should get, you angry fans. You're listening to our episode about 2015's Fantastic Four. You know, I guess we've all made terrible choices in our lives. But you've made a great choice by listening to this podcast. So if you want to contact us with suggestions for films or just how great we are, you know, you can contact us in the following methods. On email, you can get us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at diminishingpod. On Facebook, Diminishing Returns Podcast. And you can tag us and stuff on Facebook by using the wee @ sign and then typing in Diminishing Returns Pod. On Instagram, we are Diminishing Pod. We have a blog at diminishingpod.wordpress.com, and we are available on all your major podcast apps. We're available to stream on Spotify. So this is what we need. We're an independent podcast. We need you to tell a friend that likes cool, geeky, nerdy shit, to listen to a fucking winner like me tell you what to think about these things. You need me in your lives. Also, Alan. So please.
Yes.
Please share the love. Let people know about the podcast. Make sure they get the right podcast. Recommend them an episode you think they would like, and get them on board. And as always, rate us 5 stars and reviews wherever you get a podcast. It helps new listeners find the show because we want to grow and like the Fantastic Four of podcasting, the first family of podcasting. I want to clobber all other podcasts. Thanks. So listen, we've got the Fantastic Four.
We've met the four.
Right, we've met them.
I mean, they're not together, but we've met
They're
them.
not together, but you look, it's a matter of time.
Instead-
Alan, this is professional filmmakers and scriptwriters and a production company. They know we're just setting the table,
Yep.
guys. Sure, it's maybe like half an hour in the film at this point, okay? But we're fine.
They bring in Victor Von Doom.
So-
Another angsty, tortured
Yeah.
genius.
In the comic books, Victor Von Doom is Reed Richards' kind of like college roommate and rival because they're both great intellects. But also, he ends up being the ruler of a country called Latveria, which is great because it's my
dictator.
but he's like
a benevolent dictator.
Yeah, they love him there. That's what's great about it. Latveria is my favourite made-up country name, right? I use it all the time in jokes and stuff with my friends. Latveria is fucking hilarious. Well done on coming up with that. And in the comic books, he runs Latveria. There's no democracy. He is the ruler, but they love him because it seems like the economy's going great.
Yeah.
Nobody fucks him. You know why? Because Dr. Doom's the leader. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going like sitting across the table at the UN, okay, we've got the negotiating team from China. Oh, and who's at the other side of the table? Oh, it's this fucking guy in a giant metal costume with a super cool green cloak, and he is just like a legend of science and like gypsy magic. Your fucking negotiation is going one way, pal. Doom's way, all right? But what they've done here is very clever, right? Is instead of that, they've made him like a little dork that plays computer games and wears one of those Google glasses.
Yep.
And he looks like an angry wee blogger guy,
Yeah.
basically. Like, if he wasn't going to be on this science project, he'd probably be like watching Jordan Peterson videos and wanking into a sock. Which definitely is an improvement on all that cool shit we just said.
Yep.
We're like, oh, that sounds like super cool fun for a bad guy. Let's take that away. He's a guy who has Google glasses. Well done, Fantastic Four movie. Great choice there.
And it's a shame he's played by Toby Kebbell, who is in Dead Man's Shoes, the
What a film.
Shane Meadows film.
He's been great in everything I've ever seen him in. Dead Man Shoes is amazing in that. So Victor Von Doom, instead of being this amazingly charismatic, arrogant genius, he's the kind of guy that at a party would be like, don't you know that the CIA put crack into the projects? And doesn't that make you think a lot? Did you call him Tony Blair? I call him Tony Blair. What I did there was clever. He's just like, this world is shit. Everyone's shit, and you're just going to like make stuff for the army, and it's going to be like shit. And that is not a cool bad guy.
No, he's got some previous involvement with the Baxter Institute, and he seems to have some kind of unrequited love for Sue Storm. It's meant to set up this love triangle, this chemistry-free love triangle between Sue, Victor, and Reed.
Yeah, right. So they've all come together. We've got the very basic character sketches. So the first thing they do, they start doing sciencey stuff. So there's lots of pictures of them like typing.
Oh, montage.
Science. And then eventually they build a dimensional portal, send a monkey through, bring the monkey back. Everybody's happy. Brilliant. Things are about to start happening. Basically, through plot points, it's like we're going to have the project taken off our hands. You know, they're going to send through like army guys through because the logic of like the powers that be is that sending through a bunch of nerdy teenagers to an unknown dimension might not be the smartest idea. And that's presented as if they're the idiots. They're like, does anyone remember the people that built the Apollo 11 spaceship? No. But you remember Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, don't you? Because they were the people that actually went and did it. They were badass test pilots, right? Fucking, one of you hadn't even heard of Portishead until 5 minutes ago. Right? And then at which point Reed Richards was like, hey, the boy I went to school with should come and do this. Why? Why, Reed?
Yeah.
He's, you know,
Because he's just at home being beaten.
yeah, he wants to go in another dimension, one where his family don't beat the shit out of him, right? So he phones him up, I guess because he helped him with the experiments. He didn't help. He carried his water, all right? Go get your shine box, Ben Grimm. Right? So he phones Ben Grimm, his old childhood mate from 20 minutes ago in the film, and he turns up. So we've got Victor Von Doom,
Yep.
Reed Richards,
Check.
Johnny Storm,
Yep.
and Ben Grimm.
You know it.
They don't tell Sue Storm because she's a little snitch, right?
Yeah, it is just, this is a boys' playground.
woman,
They
am I
don't
right,
wanna-
lads?
They just don't want the girls along and spoil the fun of the boys.
She's probably too busy listening to more trip hop.
She's tracking down some sneaker pimps B-sides.
I was jailing. I was like, it was Sneaker something. I couldn't pull the name. Well done, man. So it's like, right, fuck it. We're gonna go through. They also do this while drunk, which is at least hilarious because I'm like, we've all done stupid shit when we're drunk, right?
The plan is just, we're just going to pop there,
Yeah.
plant the flag, and come straight back.
Because that means we're the first people done it. We planted the flag. Our names are in history.
And they can't take that away from us.
Smart. So they go through, they take out the flag, and then they go, oh, look at that cheap looking green goo over there.
Yep.
Shall we go have a wee gander about that? And everybody seems to forget about the whole plan about being there, coming back.
The drunk people immediately abandon the simple plan.
Yeah, genius scientists.
Young
And they're like,
Sheldon and pals.
we're in another dimension, so we don't know anything about this world. We don't even know if the laws of physics apply here. Do you know what I mean? Because it's another fucking dimension. And then they're like, fuck it, let's start climbing down a giant cliff face to go and look
Which
at
we've
this.
not brought any equipment for.
Yeah, so we can go and look at this. Let me be very clear. Cheap looking green goo. Already, this is fucked up and stupid, but okay. Sometimes you need to just brush by some plot points and get there. What's going to happen? What kind of weird and wonderful things that we're going to see in this? Let's be clear. Other dimension. The imagination is the limit here. And what happens?
The cosmic rays are on their way.
How is this going to turn into the Fantastic Four origin story? Oh, Victor Von Doom just looks at the green goo. This supposed genius is just like, fuck it. I'm going to put my hand in this weird interdimensional green goo.
Classic Prometheus style scientific method there.
Yeah, Hollywood hates scientists because they think they're all dumb as fucking tits.
I'll just put my hand in this.
Yeah, moo, moo. So then the green goo goes mental, and they're all like rushed back to the interdimensional kind of portal craft thing that they've got. At some point, Sue Storm gets like woken up and is like, "Oh, the boys have gone interdimensional. Oh, what are they like? I'm gonna have to give them a real nagging when they get in, you know." So she goes and tries to get them back, and they're like trying to close the doors on the interdimensional thing. Victor Von Doom gets trapped by the green goo, and it's like, oh shit, he's dead. I mean, we all know he's not going to be dead, but you know, the characters there are like, he's dead, and they run back. None of this would have happened if they just stuck to the original plan. By the way,
that's it.
As Ben Grimm tries to close the door, a bunch of green goo and rocks, I guess, attack him. And then some green goo or something attacks Johnny Storm, and he starts burning up. And then I guess it also attacks Miles Teller, but we don't get to see any of that.
Yeah, they've got no way to explain how he becomes stretchy.
Yeah.
They can't do a thing to him to make him stretchy.
Yeah.
So they just ignore it.
They just leave that. And then Sue Storm brings him back, and as he brings him back, some sort of weird energy wave thing hits her.
Boom, invisible.
Oh,
there's a
and then-
metaphor. The women in this movie are just
Right.
invisible.
Superhero films are, of course, fantasies. Come on. Listen, it's taken us a while.
Yep.
It was clumsy, but the Fantastic Four have been hit with this mutating energy blast and green goo.
Yep.
And finally, halfway through this fucking film, and nothing exciting has happened yet. Right? Nothing. Not the scene where they get this stuff happens. It's not exciting. The drag race scene was not exciting. And Lord, I mean, I don't feel I have to say this, but the school scenes weren't exciting. We're halfway through, but at least we're gonna see some exciting shit.
Planetary protectors are here.
They're finally going to be the Fantastic Four. So at this point, it tries to turn itself into some sort of weird Cronenberg horror film.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get the body horror in. Like, if you're going to go that way, making a grim Fantastic Four is like fucking a donkey. Okay?
Right.
You can't half fuck a donkey. All right? It's a bad idea to fuck a donkey. But if you're gonna fuck a donkey, don't just put in the tip. At least commit, okay? So we have about, like, I guess 5-10 minutes of this sort of dark body horror thing.
Yep.
Where it's like Reed Richards is strapped to a table, but because he's the stretchy man, like his legs go on forever.
Yep.
Right? And it's hilarious. Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. A stretchy man is inherently kind of funny and goofy.
Yeah.
And they've tried to make it dark, like, oh my God, he doesn't know what's happening to his body. He's like, no, what's happening to me? Oh, I'm on this big, really big table because his fucking legs are so long. It didn't really work for me.
No.
Johnny Storm is kind of like constantly on fire.
Yep.
And Sue Storm is
phasing
phasing in and out. Of,
yeah.
And then obviously Ben Grimm's just like this just big bit of mad rockness.
Uh-huh.
And Reed Richards is like, he finally kind of gets himself together.
Uh-huh.
He can hear Ben Grimm like screaming,
Mm-hmm.
and he climbs into like the ducts, and he goes
It
and
becomes
sees,
like Tooms from the X-Files.
yeah, he's like a
Through
little
the vents.
stretchy, dude in the vents, and he sees Ben Grimm, and he's like, why have you left me? What's happening, Reed?
Mm-hmm.
And Reed Richards is like, I'm so sorry, and then he hears the alarms go off because they found out he's escaped,
Uh-huh.
and then he escapes. What I loved about this is that he escapes naked.
I thought he was maybe in pants.
No, man, he's full on naked.
He's
I'm
just
telling
full
you,
on naked,
man.
Just his big stretchy
Well,
penis.
that's the thing.
like,
I mean,
just- Mm-hmm.
when he ran out of there, it looked pretty cold out. Okay.
Okay.
So I think he had to use most of his powers to keep his cock looking good. Like, because we all get shrinkage in the cold, and he's like running about, and he's like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna add a wee extra fucking inch or two here. Like as he's running out the army base, like a hot army cadet is like, oh Jesus Christ, pal. You know, he's running away. He's not got time to go. It's fucking cold out, love.
he could have just stretched his whole cock out and worn it like a toga.
Oh, or like stretched his cock out and used that like a javelin to kind of jump over any of the
like
walls.
a pole vault.
Yeah, like a pole vault. Everything's all fucked up. They're in this army base. So Reed Richards has escaped. What the fuck is going to happen? But Alan, don't worry, because finally we see some cool shit. We actually get to see the thing fuck shit up for 5 seconds on a video screen. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
So it's like a year later, the thing's being used by the army, and they're like, check out this cool shit the thing's doing. And you're like, holy shit, he's like destroying a tank and fucking shit up. And they show you it for 5 seconds on a video screen and then cut to a army meeting. Oh, that's what I want to see in this superhero film. Ooh, I hope there's minutes being taken. Fucking dicks, man. I don't want to see the fucking cool orange monster destroying shit. No, that would be the easy choice, guys. Also, as well, right? This is a year later. They've still not found Reed Richards, right? The army's like, we can use the Fantastic Three.
The Fant Four Stick 3.
And, so Johnny Storm was flaming up all the time, but the suit they've got him in kind of calms down the flames, right?
Yeah.
And so he can then press a button on the suit and flame on and get his flames when he needs to, and it allows him to go and fly and shoot shit. And then if he wants to like stop his power, he presses a button on his suit and it makes him normal again, right?
Yeah.
I have a question. He never showers? Is there a flap for him to take a shit? Right? And most of all, what happens when he has a wank? Does he take out his cock and it starts to go on fire because it's not in the suit anymore? How does that work? In the comics, he learns to control it.
Yes,
right? So it's like how stinking is he if he's just wearing that suit all the time?
He's
Gross.
maybe just burning off all the germs and bacteria. Yeah, I don't.
So we've got that, and then Sue Storm, she can control her stuff with her mind, and
But
she's
she
learning.
still has a suit.
Yeah, they still give her a suit. Yeah, you're right. It's just like
we just need you to match.
Yeah.
But like the Rock guy, fuck building a big suit for him.
yeah, they were just like they went to this tailor, and he was like, oh, it's just going to split all the time. So the eagle-eared of you will be going, oh, what's happened to old Reed Richards, old stretchy man himself?
Yeah, much like Ben Grimm did for the sort of middle of this movie, Reed Richards has now vanished for like that year time jump. So while we've at least had hints that the other three have been training with their powers, we've no idea what Reed's been up to. But apparently he spent a year in the wilderness becoming a tailor, making his own ad hoc suit that can control his powers.
So yeah, but what I liked about this is Reed Richards, because he can like move his body and shit and make it all stretchy, he can also rearrange his face.
But that just reminded me of Face Aches from the Buster.
Those are words, I'm sure, but I do not know the context.
A comic strip in the Buster, there was a character called Face Ache that could manipulate his face into various grotesqueries. But it's the transition when he's escaping and he shakes his face to his Miles Teller face.
It's like an Etch-a-Sketch.
It's awful. It's just a really horrible transformation.
Yeah,
like,
it's
looks
not a cool...
so pokey.
This film looks cheap in a lot of places.
In fairness to Trank, apparently days before principal photography began, the budget was slashed by 30 million.
It's a lot of Spondylix.
It's a big whack of cash. So I can understand that maybe things had to be reconfigured in the movie.
Talking about like the budget and stuff, how bad is the Thing's mouth animation? When the computer generated, obviously, animation of the Thing character speaking and the lines that Jamie Bell's saying looks like it's been poorly dubbed in afterwards. It looks as if when you watch a dubbed film, somebody from another language and somebody's dubbed over English, that's what the CGI animation looks like, which is weird because Jamie Bell, the actor that plays the Thing, was on set. He was motion captured saying those lines.
Andy Serkis just to make sure that what he was going to do for the movie was right, because Andy Serkis is a motion capture master.
Yeah, he spoke to Gollum himself.
Yeah.
And yet they obviously just couldn't be asked syncing the fucking words and like,
yeah, like everything else in this film, it'll do.
But don't worry, Alan, at this point, Sue Storm figures out where Reed Richards is. He's been on the run for a year. So the army have finally found Reed Richards and they're sending in the Thing to bring him back. All right, okay, listen, finally, we're going to get a cool battle scene. Yep. Okay, there's only like half an hour left of this film, but finally it's going to happen because they're doing a cool thing where it's like, yeah, they're not a team yet. Yeah. But it's going to be the Thing bringing in Reed Richards. So the Thing gets there with the army and Reed Richards is there. And then, nope, that's not what happens. The Thing captures Reed Richards and punches a tree.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great. Dumb trees. Yeah. Boy, well done. That's the real thing I want to see there was the giant rock character punch a tree.
The small, brief moment of combat that we get with Reed Richards, it looks somewhat like a Roger Hargreaves Mr. Tickle sequence.
Yeah.
Big bendy arms.
Okay, at this point, at least we've got the four together, okay?
Yeah.
So, sure, we're now like with less than half an hour in this film to go, but at least we've got the Fantastic Four together. Reed Richards is back at the army base.
Yep.
Sue Storm, she's wearing her hair down now. That's nice.
It's
nice,
clearly the wig is in effect. Like scene to scene, her hair is just changing between originally shot material and the reshoot material. The wig matching to real hair is much like Jamie Bell's lip syncing to the dialogue. It's fucking all over the map.
This is being an edition of our latest podcast. Wig talk. Let's get wiggy with it, which is what we're calling it.
To pay or not to pay? That is the question. Welcome to our new podcast, The Syrup of Figs.
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ. I just threw up a little in my mouth. Yeah, so listen, right, they're back in the base and they're like, right, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to send some army dudes through to the other dimension. They send some army dudes through the other dimension. Oh, surprise, motherfuckers. Victor Von Doom's fucking still there.
He's a negative creep in the negative zone.
Nice. They bring him back and they're like, we're going to, take him back to the base. He looks all fucked up and shit.
Yeah.
He's managed to get some sort of green cape.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to be any fabric.
Doesn't look like there's any natural resources, particularly here in the negative zone.
Is there any mills in this other dimension? It's
certainly a rustic looking.
Yeah, it's a hipster thing. Yeah, locally sourced cape. Okay, we're maybe like 20 odd minutes from the end here.
Yeah.
But finally, we've got Victor Von Doom being a bad guy. He finally starts killing motherfuckers. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, this is all we were wanting, right? Because it's a superhero film where there so far has been no action, right?
Yes.
A tree has been punched. That was the highlight of this film so fucking far, okay? And then it's like, he starts killing people. It's in badly lit corridors. You don't get to see much of it. It happens for about 2 seconds, but at least he fucking does some shit, right? Like, we've finally got an antagonist in this film. Sure, there's 15 minutes to go, okay? Little bit late, guys, but at least there's one. He's killed loads of people in the army base, and he's like, Earth is shit, you've destroyed it. I'm not going to let you come into my new world where I have managed to fashion myself a terrible cloak, and I'm going to be the only one that's left, and I'm going to be the ruler of this world where there's only me and this. And actually, that sounds quite good. I live alone. But, and he's like, so fuck this shit. So I'm going back to my dimension, and in doing so, I'm also going to leave a black hole to destroy the Earth for some reason. I don't know. It's never really explained. He basically jumps into the portal, and then somebody goes, oh, that's a black hole that's going to destroy everything. How did you know that, mate? You didn't even look
just made up the science here.
Didn't even look at a computer screen, pal.
Yeah.
All right. We've got Victor Von Doom. He's not the Victor Von Doom we wanted, but that's the one we've got. And there's been at least a hint.
He's not the hero we need right now.
No, but there's at least
that we have.
There's at least a hint of badassery, Alan. And he's trying to destroy the Earth, which frankly, after sitting through most of this film, I'm like, the Earth deserves to die because the Earth made 2015's Fantastic Four.
We created this.
He also kills Reg Cathy. Reggie Cathy.
I mean-
As we described earlier, we like him. And again, in a really sort of, he's killing this guy who was trying to be a father figure to him. There should have been a real element of drama and like killing your father to become this monster. But instead, he's all like, Victor, don't do this. I get the Reggie Cathy's voice. Justice.
He should even have stirred something up for Sue and Johnny, who've been raised by this guy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to have any resonance.
So listen, he kills Sue Storm and Johnny Storm's dad. He goes back to our dimension. Evidently, he's going to destroy the whole Earth so that he can be the ruler of his one wee planet.
Planet Zero.
Yeah, they call it Planet Zero. So the Fantastic Four are like, well, we've got to stop this.
Yep.
15 minutes ago, just come out on a high and give us some sort of hope that, okay, the next film's going to be better. I'm going to say it, it's taking too long, but let's fucking do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique thing. Like, we struggle with superhero films, you know, do they retell the origin story? How many times do we need to see Batman's parents killed in the back alley? How often does Uncle Ben need to die? Sure, films use those catalysts for the hero's journey. Okay, here we have an hour and 40-minute long origin story, but that's okay. I'll take that if we're going to get
We've got
15
liftoff, baby.
minutes
Lift
of
off.
Cosmic battle.
They're on another dimension, Planet Zero, against a megalomaniac who's learned the powers of this planet. Holy shit. With these four, with their wacky powers against this, man. Okay, game on, flame on. Alright? Let's fucking do this.
It's clobbering time.
It's clobbering time. And that's what we get. We get to see the Fantastic Four fighting in a very nondescript, badly lit, shitty CGI location. Hell. Yeah. And then at the end, they defeat Victor Von Doom and they name themselves. The end. That's it.
Boy,
That was the film. When that finished, I was like, hold on. That whole film was like the first act of a film.
Yep.
Except it felt like it went on for 3 hours. When I looked at my watch and realised that film was actually under 2 hours long, my mind melted. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, during that battle, there's several moments where they just stand in a line, stock still.
I'm not even going to talk about the battle because there's nothing happens in it.
So groan-inducing. It's so weird that Fox picked Trank specifically because he had this like edgy take on superhero concepts, and then he just delivers this rote.
But that's what it is.
Bullshit.
But that's what it is. I think that you can see that it's the classic thing when this happens a lot in life. I want this, and you go, well, if you want this, I'll give you what you want. Here's what I'm offering you. It's XYZ. And they go, I want XYZ. We as an audience, as a person, as a partnership, as a business, whatever it is, in any form of life, we want this. You've told me exactly what you're going to do. And I'm like, this is a great idea. And then Josh Trank starts to make his Dark Fantastic Four that Fox hired him to make. And then halfway through they go, bit dark, innit? It's like, yeah, I told you I was going to make a Dark Fantastic Four.
It's what you wanted. You specifically said, don't be like the MCU.
Yeah.
We want to distance ourselves from the MCU. We want Chronicle. We want Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy.
And then they go, could you make it a bit more like the MCU? And there you go. And that's it. It's fucked. And I don't think that was the right choice anyway.
No, absolutely not for these characters,
But
not for that world.
As I think Terry mentioned, Trank said that he had a cut of it, and Toby Kebbell backed him up. They said the cut was brilliant, right? You can maybe see how there could be a very interesting film to be made of a dark, weird Fantastic Four film. Would that be what I want from a Fantastic Four film? No. But if it was well made and cool and fucked up, okay, it's not really what I necessarily would have asked for, but there has to be a unity of purpose from the start, and it just feels like they asked him to make a dark film. He took them at their word and was like, here's this really dark version of Fantastic Four, and they went, oh, we cannot sell toys from that.
Yeah. Now, I've kind of, in a couple of points tonight, spoken in defence of Josh Trank. Now, apparently, the set was a nightmare.
Yeah.
He was a petulant, immature crybaby.
There was also a lot of rumours that he was maybe a bit used to working on smaller budget films, and that a big film with big crew was maybe a bit overextended himself.
Yeah.
A bit like Reed Richards. Go on, sorry.
Apparently also hostile with his cast. So the set sounds like a nightmare, and then during that process, Trank gets offered the Star Wars spin-off, Boba Fett, and then Kathleen Kennedy gets wind of how that set has been conducted, and Trank's behaviour, goes on a set visit, and then immediately Trank no longer has the Boba Fett spin-off.
She does not give a fuck about cutting people out, does she? She loves it. I'll fucking take another director out. I love it.
And more power to her.
I think that with the Fantastic Four, it just seems like they didn't really know what they wanted.
Yeah,
and
the studio seemed to have misunderstood the property they were dealing with, and unfortunately Trank was the guy at the helm for that.
it's a fucking mess of a film. It's Dullsville.
This film depressed me so much.
Fantastic Bore, more like. Come on! Hey! The sky was black with hats. Been waiting all episode to say that. Bye.
Excelsior!
Sue Storm, which, to be fair, cool name. Susan Wind.
I was thinking David Hurricane.
Yeah.
Like,
Dave Hurricane's pretty good. Dave Hurricane sounds like a guy who would sort out some problems for you around the estate for a small fee.